Welcome back to Stache Club Wrestling. My name is John.
My name is Dante.
We're back with doing hot takes. We got another batch of hot takes for you. I sent out a tweet and you guys delivered. Let me tell you, we got a batch of a handful. We're going to go through them today. So thank you for sending them in. Thank you for following. Thank you for subscribing. Before we get started though, if you're not subscribed, please subscribe. Leave a like. Turn on the bell for notifications. Hit follow and whatever on everything. You get it. How many times do I got to say it? How many times do I got to say it?
Come on.
How many times do I got to say it?
How many times do you got to say it?
I don't know. If there's not much left of an intro, basically, here's everyone's hot takes. Dante, you ready to get started?
Let's do it.
All right. Number one, AEW gets way too much unwarranted hate online, and people don't appreciate the fact there's two thriving wrestling companies. 100% agree.
Yeah.
I agree.
I think there's definitely a divide, especially on wrestling Twitter.
I think
the
it's
IWC
only wrestling Twitter.
It's one of these things where people believe that you can only be a fan of one company, one style of wrestling, whatever. But actually, there's a lot of great wrestling out there, a lot of different companies that you can support and back, and you don't just have to pick one and whatever.
It makes people feel better about themselves to be on the quote unquote winning side.
The good side.
So they're like, I'm gonna only be a fan of WWE because they're the bigger one and whatever, thus aligning me with the winner. So I feel like a winner.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
And it's like AEW, WWE, and like all these other companies like have different styles of wrestling. You watch what you prefer, and if someone else doesn't like it, then that's just their style.
I've always
gotta agree with it. But
I've always been in the camp of like, you don't have to watch any of it, but it's like if you're actually a wrestling fan, at the end of the day, you gotta be happy. Kind of like this tweet said, you gotta be happy that there's more opportunities for these professionals to make money and have jobs and put on a show that, AEW, you'd be lying to yourself if you didn't say AEW had some all-timers. You know what I mean? Bryan Danielson is an AEW. My take is, before we move on, I've always had this take. People always criticize like the low attendance or like or the low viewership, or they're like, oh, like WWE or AEW didn't make a lot of money this week, and criticizing Tony Khan. Here's my take. Tony Khan's a billionaire.
He is.
Right?
Has a lot of money.
Screw billionaires. Yep. Right? 100%. If you're going to be a billionaire and you're going to flush money away, and that's like quote unquote, I don't know if he actually is, but like, let's just say for the sake of argument, he's just throwing money at the wall. Let's say AEW isn't profitable. Who gives a shit?
His money.
Isn't it cool that a crazy billionaire is like, yeah, I'm going to sign Christian Cage. I'm going to sign, screw it, I'm going to sign this guy named Luchasaurus because I think it's cool.
You got the money for it. You put together one of the best rosters ever. You put on 5-star matches, and hey, that's great wrestling.
Even if it's not profitable, and it first of all, it is. But even if it wasn't, and this billionaire, it doesn't matter to him at all. He's paying these wrestlers, like Swerve Strickland signed one of the most lucrative contracts in history. Who cares if the company's making money when you have a billionaire behind it that could flush away half his net worth and he wouldn't bat an eye?
And he's a fan.
And he's a fan. He gets to fantasy book, and you can disagree or agree with some of his decisions, whatever. At the end of the day, I just think it's kind of cool, this like madman's being like throwing money at like, I want, so-and-so versus so-and-so, and he's making dream matches. And
makes it happen.
I never understood like the criticism. You're not hired by AEW. Your paycheck's not.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
And one last thing too. Of course, they're not going to have the same views, the same attendance as a company that's been around forever, but it's like they still have an audience. They still have a core audience that they've built up over the last 5 years. So it's like, someone might not like it, but they do have plenty of people that do. So
I agree. All right, next one.
Evan Bourne, Yoshitatsu, and Justin Gabriel are three of the most underrated superstars of all time.
Agree. Agree.
This is just interesting collection of names here. It is.
Yoshitatsu is the one I know least about. Yeah. But just as being a smaller high flyer fan.
Oh, yeah.
I loved all three of these guys.
All these three of these guys I grew up watching in that childhood, late 2000s type of era. I forget what's Justin Gabriel's name on the indies. Something Black,
I looked it up before. I think it's PJ Black.
PJ Black.
Yeah, I looked
that's
it up
what
before.
it is. Yeah, all these guys. Yoshitatsu too is kind of like that one guy that I feel like just got thrown in here. He was really good at the time. Evan Bourne, Justin Gabriel, unbelievable high flyers, just super entertaining. Evan Bourne caught one of the craziest, if not the greatest RKO of all time. Justin Gabriel in the Nexus and the Core.
I always thought
notoriously.
Justin Gabriel should have broke out. I don't know why. He was the standout for me. He was the Green Ranger of the group. I always thought he was sick, and he NXT, never got his shot.
In the competition NXT, he was great. In the Nexus, he was great. Yeah,
loved him.
Never came up in the wrong era, I guess, in WWE.
Yeah, honestly, I don't know how old is he, because maybe he's kind of like,
maybe 40s, early 40s now, just 30s, early 40s, 43.
So, I guess not, in the prime youth anymore, but like, I don't know, he's doing his thing on the indies, like we said. PJ Black's doing his thing. But yeah, I loved that trio. I
did too.
Okay. This one. So, wasn't sure if this was going to be a podcast topic or this was going to be...
Yeah, is this the one that you said was going to be the title of the video?
But I needed a title. Okay. I needed a title of the video.
I'm very interested. There's a few layers to this.
Jey Uso is better than Jeff Hardy.
No, not this.
He's better on the mic, delivers better storytelling, gives the crowd an actual reason to be hyped. Before anyone uses single titles, took Jeff 4 years as a singles competitor in WWE to get a title. Took Jey months. What? That's not true. What? Took Jey? Didn't
let me analyze this tweet.
So if you want the real reason I put it, because I don't agree with it. This wasn't necessarily the take I wanted, but
this was going around Twitter the last few days.
More so, the take I wanted is that what was the take on Twitter? Is it Jey Uso is more popular than?
Yes,
okay, so that's basically what I wanted out of this. You know what I mean? So you don't necessarily have to answer this, but like Jey Uso is more. That's gonna be the title of the video.
No
surprise.
No, he's not. He's not. Listen, Jey Uso is very popular. I see the comparison where it's like for kids nowadays.
Yes.
Like Jey Uso, kids back then, aka someone like me, someone like you. Absolutely. Jey Uso has like t-shirt sales, shirt sales, merchandise, like top 5, everything. Like he is unbelievably popular right now. I'm not trying to take anything away from him. Well, let's peel it back a little bit. Let's go back to 2008. Let's go back to Jeff Hardy. Phone's ringing. That's Jeff right there. He has something to say. Jeff? Jeff Hardy in 2008 was one
2008 calling. I want your arm sleeves back.
I want Jeff Hardy. I want the WWE Championship back. Jeff Hardy and Barack Obama were the two most powerful, popular people walking the face of the earth in 2008. I love Jey Uso. I don't know. Not saying he can't, but I don't agree that he has reached that level of popularity yet. Like on the mic, like Jeff Hardy wasn't like the strongest like guy on the mic, whatever. I'm not trying to compare like the storytelling, mic skills, whatever. They're both great in their own right, but popularity wise, Jey Uso can get there one day. But Jeff Hardy, his aura is unmatched.
Yeah, ultimately, I agree. I think there's a few factors. I mean, one, we talk about this all the time, but it's just WWE not building up wrestlers to be as big of stars. You know what I mean? Like I think there's multitude of people who are popular but don't have that crossover like a lot of people in like the Ruthless Aggression era had.
Sure.
I do love the comparison because they're both kind of like the
charismatic.
The charismatic mid-card guys.
They're both great with the fans.
Exactly. And I agree with you. That was going to be my point, is that while like ultimately I do agree with you, and like even like statistically, like on the record, like Jeff Hardy is more popular than Jey Uso. Who knows what the future is going to tell? But to the argument is like a lot of the argument isn't for us. Like you said, it's like kids. Right. How do kids feel today? Yeah. If Jey Uso is their Jeff Hardy and that makes them feel the same way, then so like be it. Who am I to say? Right. You know what I mean? I saw a video of this kid watching the match, and he's like on the floor. He's all hyped. He's wearing a Jey Uso shirt, and he gets the ref counts to 3. Jey Uso wins it, and the kid just tears, and he's like so happy. So it's like in that sense, I love the comparison and relating him to Prime Jeff. But if you zoom out,
bigger picture,
then sure. But I think for a kid, I see the the need for the argument.
Hey man, when Jeff Hardy, when it was CM Punk versus Jeff Hardy, loser leaves SmackDown, which meant Jeff Hardy was leaving WWE. When he lost, I cried. I was so upset. Nowadays, if there was a loser leaves WWE match and Jey Uso lost and he left the company, I'm sure there's going to be kids out there that would be upset about that as well.
They're going to say, I'm not going to cry this time.
I'm a man now.
I'm not a pussy anymore.
I'm not a bitch.
All right, brother.
Brand exclusive PLE should return. The roster has enough depth and it will be refreshing to set mid-carders on PLEs. Example, Andrade versus Hayes. 7. I really enjoyed when they did brand exclusive PPVs. I think they brought them back in like 2016 when they did the brand split again, like hardcore.
Some of those SmackDown ones were
bangers. Yeah, dude. I think it was, and I don't know if they did it back then, but I think it was like an every other month thing. It was like 1 month was SmackDown, 1 month was Raw, or it was like a few weeks apart. I forget how.
Yeah, that's how I remember that when we were kids. It's how they did it. It's 1 month Raw, 1 month SmackDown.
Yeah, I forget. I think that's how they did it. But I think now, like, I agree. Like, they have the roster for it. I think if you kind of like, if you spread them out a little bit, you could have brand exclusive 5-match PLEs.
Yeah,
because SmackDown's going to 3 hours starting next year. Raw is staying 3 hours. So I think you have the size, you have the time to fit in as many storylines, like the 5 storylines, the PLE, whatever. I'd be down for it. Yeah. I'm not gonna like sit here and say like I'm fine with the way it is now, but if they change it to this, I'm cool with it.
Yeah, I agree. I agree with you. I agree with this. Since we're in the era of all the B shows having like 5 shows max, and it's like, I feel like you can, a lot of the titles getting left off. Yeah. So having the brand exclusive ones would allow the titles to be defended more.
Right.
But there is the problem of the brand split.
Yeah.
It's like we are pretty split at this point, but like we've seen this year and the past years how the draft is fun, but ultimately doesn't mean anything. I think
it's a ratings grab at this point.
Yeah. If you were to do this, I think you need to define the brands and the brand loyalty a little better.
Oh, I'm with you.
But like other than that, I am, especially like I said, with the B shows being 5, whatever, gives you more time. And you can have you can do a thing that AEW and NXT do where like you can have like a Monday Night Raw be like a special show. I think that would be a cool to like break up the time between the pay-per-views. Yeah. The Rock versus John Cena for John Cena's final match at WrestleMania is the only correct answer. They're 1-1 against each other at WrestleMania, and it'll be a perfect end to their story together. I don't disagree. I don't know if he's my number 1 pick, but it would be an option.
I disagree with this is the only correct answer.
Well, yeah, I guess that's what I mean.
I think there's I think there's a handful of opponents. You could do that. My personal opinion, I'd like it if they stayed away from it because I think they're 1-1.
You want to keep them 1-1?
Keep them 1-1. I don't think it's not, at this point in either career. There's no benefit of the other getting one leg up on the other.
Sure.
It's just like they're 2 of the greatest of their generations. Keep it that way. I think like that's a possibility. I'm sure.
Plus, I could see John Cena being the nice guy. He would give it to Dwayne.
Yeah, 100%.
And I don't really want to see Dwayne be 2-1 against him.
Logic would be The Rock is still doing this bloodline stuff. He's sticking around. I'm not, so I'll give him it. And I would want John Cena to win.
I would want John Cena to win, and I don't know if I see that happening.
Exactly.
Or if it's easily.
Yeah, and I think, like I said, there's a handful of other people, and I think that handful of other people, there's a better case and argument that should be the match. It would be fun if it happened, but
I don't dislike
I'm cool
this route.
Just keeping this feud. Like they also had their interaction at last year's WrestleMania. I think to me that's like a cap off. That's fine with me. That's sealing the feud shut. Drew is only getting a draw because of Punk. If Punk didn't come back to the company, Drew would be at TNA.
Also, just shot at TNA.
Yeah.
TNA caught a stray.
Yeah, what the hell? I mean, that's where Drew made a name for himself again after he left WWE and TNA.
I disagree. I disagree.
Not true. This isn't
Drew
true.
was, before Punk came in, Drew still had this breaking the fourth wall, I'm smarter than whatever character. He's been killing it for years before Punk. Punk is a nice addition. I think they're elevating each other, but Drew is a top guy. He's a top draw. He's one of the best.
Him and Roman Reigns, and you could argue that Drew McIntyre, even more so, helped carry WWE, put WWE on his back during the COVID Thunderdome
absolutely.
Because Roman came back at SummerSlam, Drew was carrying from WrestleMania on.
I always forget he was a world champion.
He's a 2-time WWE
he's a 2-time world champion.
In the Thunderdome, he carried WWE during that time. He is a made man. Punk did not make Drew as popular as he is. They both complement each other, and they both have elevated each other 1,000%. But Drew is not in the position he is in right now because of CM Punk.
And he wouldn't be in TNA.
And he definitely wouldn't be in TNA.
And if he was, that would be fine.
And we'd be okay with it. We'd support
him. Him and Nick Nemeth would be killing it. Yeah. There's only one person who should dethrone Cody Rhodes to the WWE Championship, and it's Randy Orton. Did you tweet this?
No, I didn't tweet this. I mean, honestly,
it's another one I don't disagree with.
I don't disagree with it.
It's an option.
One of those things, again, where it's like, I don't believe he's the only person that could do it. But, shit, man, it would be a cool story. I think it would, I think I would prefer it being the other way around.
With Randy having the title.
Randy had the
Agreed.
belt,
Agreed.
And then Cody beating Randy in that sense.
If someone's going to dethrone Cody, I would want it to be like a younger up and coming guy, you know, like Randy doesn't need it, but you're right. I would much prefer like, you know, Cody finally beating his, you know, whatever.
And even though Randy is like only 4, 5, 6 years older than Cody, like he's not like
that's
that
so
many
crazy.
years older.
Yeah.
It's like if he let Cody beat him and gave him the belt, that still is like a not like a passing of the torch, but it is like a nod. It's a hand.
Yeah, it's a little like, yeah.
Where like, yeah, I think it would work better that way. Hey, but if they do Randy Cody and Randy beats him and the story's there, I'm all for it.
And I'm not one to complain about Orton getting another title win, regardless.
I would love to see
however it happens.
I would love to see him rack a few more of those up. So, hottest wrestling take: Dom should be world champion within the next 5 years. I don't think that's a hot take at all.
Agree.
I actually don't think that's a hot take at all.
I've kind of agreed with a lot of these.
Yeah,
today.
Listen, I think the way the trajectory for Dom right now, he debuted in 2020. We're in late 2024 now. The last 2 years, he has been one of the best, if not the hottest heel in wrestling in WWE at the very least.
It's almost like his trajectory went like that. Like it was like, and then heel Judgment Day.
Shot up.
You know what I mean?
And I think it's only getting better.
Agreed.
Again, he was a heel that somehow turned heel even more, joining with Liv. I think he has a very bright future, and I absolutely can see him just like as a sleazeball, just winning the world title, like somehow winning Money in the Bank, cashing. Like he'll figure it out, but I think he will definitely be a world champion in the next few years for sure.
I do think Dom needs to win a mid-card title within the next 2 years.
He'll win a belt or two before winning a world championship.
I agree. But no, I love this take. I wholeheartedly agree.
I do too.
As cool as War Games is, I'm kind of tired of it becoming an annual thing with Survivor Series. I wish they'd do another SmackDown versus Raw versus NXT style Survivor Series again, especially with how stacked NXT's women's division has become. I agree and disagree.
Yeah.
I love War Games.
I'm kind of in the middle.
I'm in the middle too.
Because I do love the traditional SmackDown versus Raw. You can throw in versus NXT as well. But the War Games, I don't think it's something like we talked about how they used to do like the Hell in a Cell pay-per-views where it's like they would just like water down the Hell in a Cell matches. Like they literally named a pay-per-view after this match. This is like similar where it's like they're not naming the pay-per-view, it's called Survivor Series, but they're attaching War Games. But like every War Games match that there's been, it's been like justified and it doesn't feel forced. Like it just feels like it makes sense that feud or whatever it is culminating in that match.
I think if they didn't have I think they try to have something for it, but I think ultimately if they don't have anything for it, they're not going to force it.
100%. And another thing too, and to hear me out, do both.
Yeah, honestly, right?
I mean, like I think
War Games is just one match.
War Games is just one match.
I mean?
It can be the main event, but it's like it's like you just talk about how stacked these divisions are. The NXT Women's Division, like that being an example, you have plenty of people that you can still have 1 or 2 elimination matches.
War Games can be fully story. It doesn't have to be that. Yeah. Every other match can be,
and you don't have to do like I like the idea of doing like the world champ versus the world champ versus the world champ mid card, like kind of like doing the brands, whatever. But like you could still do like a women's and men's just 5v5 tag match because that's what they did years ago, and those matches were banging. I
know, they're so fun.
So I would love that. I think you can do both. I think WWE could. Will they? I don't know, but that's where I.
This is another thing where the problem's the brand split too. NXT, you're solid there. If you're gonna do this, you got
Randy Orton representing Raw, SmackDown.
You know what I mean?
That's
Raw
the last month. So.
We got free agents floating around. So I do also agree. I missed like the brand rivalry and that being part of Survivor Series.
Survivor Series being,
right?
I think of Survivor Series.
Everyone wearing the blue SmackDown shirts and whatever. I think I ultimately agree with you though. Do both. Have War Games as the main thing. Then the rest of it you can have SmackDown versus Raw versus NXT.
Absolutely.
Interesting. Well, that's going to wrap us up. Those are our hot takes. Please leave your thoughts and opinions. What do you agree with? What do you disagree with in the comments?
What's your hottest take?
I was going to say, leave more hot takes in the comments. We appreciate you being here. Please subscribe. Turn on bell for notifications. We have new merch. I don't know if it's new at this point, but we have merch in the description. We got a couple t-shirts, there's some Sweep City stuff, Bash at the Stash, and hats. Please check out the Patreon, patreon.com/Stache Club Wrestling, support the channel, get bonus episodes of the podcast. All right, without further ado, Dante. See you next time.
I'll see you all week.
See you all week. See you for the pod.
All you guys all week. Peace.